Hi, this is Ash Costello from Resilient Kid podcast. I chatted to Kim today, and oh my goodness, how many practical takeaways that she can squish into one call is amazing. Just want to say, Kim, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time today. And also, your knowledge is just vast. You are absolutely the expert. Thank you so much. Can't wait to get everything into practice.
Welcome, beautiful listeners. This is Kim Parkinson, and you're listening to Podcasting for Spiritual Women. And today, I just wanted to do a small recap. I actually do introduce Jamie in the very first bit of this, but I just really wanted to go over this. It's a little bit of a longer episode, and there is so much information packed, even all the way to the very end. We kind of wrap it up, and then I kind of asked another question and we brought it back in. So if you're thinking, oh, I think it's over and you're going to end it, I highly suggest that you just keep listening to the end because Jamie has some really amazing advice. This is especially important if you are interested in doing any type of video. So reels, lives, workshops, if you're doing YouTube videos, doing TikTok, any of those type of videos, whether that be long form or short form. And when we talk short form, I'm not talking short form as a minute and 30 seconds. I'm talking short form as in 7. So listen in because she's got some really great advice about how to get started with that, how to make that happen, and how to like kind of beat the algorithm down. I really loved this conversation. The more and more that I go over it and listen to it and edited it today, I have just been really excited about all of the things that she had to say in this episode. So listen up because this is going to be a really good one. And I know you're going to want to listen to it a couple times because there's a lot of great information in this. So without further ado, here you go. Welcome, beautiful listeners. It is Kim Parkinson with Podcasting for Your Spiritual Business. And today I have a very special guest on. Today, our guest is Jamie Hayen. Jamie is a video and growth coach who helps women, service-based entrepreneurs turn their knowledge into clients through strategic video, workshops, and masterclasses. She focuses on simplifying the sales process so growth feels clear, doable, and sustainable. Welcome to the show today, Jamie.
Thank you so much, Kim. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, excellent. And thank you for your time today. You are just always so much fun before when we were in the green room, just having a chit chat. So always so much fun to chat with you.
Always fun. And I love hearing about your life and your chickens and all of the craziness going on. It's so fun. So it was a little good. It was like a little reunion we just had.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Excellent. All right. I have a couple of questions because we're all about visibility. I know you're about visibility, like actual visibility, not just like voice visibility. And so I'm ready to get started. Are you?
I can't wait. I can't wait. Ask away.
Awesome. All right. First question I have for you is you work with so many women around visibility and video. What are you noticing right now about how women feel when it comes to being on camera?
You know, it's sort of a mixed bag, right? It's like you either have the women who are like, no, I can't possibly do it. Or you have women who are like, I just don't know what I'm doing and I don't want to make it worse. I hear a lot of that. Like, I want to do video, but I can't control it the way I can my emails, my podcast, my posts, right? And so there's a little bit of perfectionism going on and this worry that if I don't show up as perfectly in video as I do in these other places, I will ruin my reputation. So you got a little bit of that going on. And then you've got kind of a third bucket, which is out there like, I don't care. I'm just doing it, but I don't really know what I'm doing or I'm not getting the results that I want. So some of it is who we are as people and our comfort level with it. You know, one of the things that I say all the time is that when it comes to being on camera and doing videos or reels or workshops or any of it, we often have this assumption that we should just know how to do it. And that's not true. It's a skill that you learn and practice, no different than if you were going to learn how to golf or how to knit. You often need a teacher or a coach to help you learn how to do the steps. It's not something that you're just born with or not born with. But yet that's a belief that I find a lot of women have is I'm like beating myself up because I don't just intuitively know how to do it. Well, it's not always an intuitive thing. You can be guided intuitively for the topics or the things you want to talk about, but you still need steps or process or framework to actually do the video. And that's the piece I think a lot of women just don't understand or have never been told, never heard.
Do you find there's an age gap between that too? Because
Yes.
I'm going to guess that you and I are probably Gen X, I'm guessing. And
Yes.
so I bet that Gen X and boomers have a more tough time than millennials and
Yes.
Gen Z.
Yeah, it's like anything else. I mean, I know whenever I'm having some sort of technical problem with my phone, I don't even mess with it. I just hand it over to my nieces and nephews. Like, because they just, in seconds, they can be like, boop, 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 and they just fix it. And they don't, whereas I'm like, I need a video and an instruction manual. And I need because that's the world we grew up in. Like, I can remember in school, like, you went to the library and you got out encyclopedias and that's how you wrote your papers.
Yeah.
And, kids today, it's just everything's available to them everywhere all the time, 24/7 on the internet. And it's vastly different. And so their comfort level with doing videos is easier because it's all they've ever known. Whereas I think us older folk, that's how I'm going to say it. It hasn't always been here. And so it's very different for us, for sure.
Yeah. We learned patience with that rotary phone. That's for sure.
And the busy signal. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Party line. Please hold. I'll get your parties.
I've been trying to call you for hours and the phone's been busy. Sorry, Dad. It's part of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So let's start with women who are already doing video, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of what generation you come from, you're already doing video. How can they tell if their videos are actually working just beyond views?
Yeah, views is the dangerous part, right? Because we can see views and we think, ooh, that got 100 views. That's 100 people that watched my whole video. Not necessarily, right? A view for the most part is 1 second. If they stop their scroll long enough for it to sit for 1 second, it counts as a view, even if they immediately scrolled by. So we can get sucked in and believe that because the views are a certain number, that we're good. Like 100, 200, I'm in good shape. Not necessarily, right? So what you really want to watch for, and it kind of depends on what kind of video you're doing. Are you doing Reels? Are you doing Facebook Lives? Are you doing pre-recorded videos like on YouTube? They all kind of have different metrics that you want to look at. But I think in general, what you're looking for is, are you growing in followers? What are your watch times? So how long are people watching that particular video? And then the last thing is, how many comments am I getting? In general, what you're looking for is watch time. I mean, views are a good indicator, right? Because are you getting more and more views? That would indicate I'm getting better and better at this, right? Watch time, how long are people watching? How many comments am I getting? Are the other two big ones that you want to watch for.
Okay, great. So speaking of commenting, if you are doing videos consistently, but people aren't commenting, they're not sharing, they're not taking action, where do you usually see things that are breaking down? What's the first thing that's breaking down there?
Well, usually what happens is in that moment, we react to the pain, right? The pain point that I have right now is I'm not getting comments. And so what do I need to do? I need to ask more questions. And so that we start working on asking more questions, and then we're confused because it doesn't make any difference. It's not that the questions you planned weren't good. It's that there was something breaking down before you even got to the questions. So what you got to look for is it's like downstream, upstream, whichever way you want to look, right? So if people aren't watching, if you're not getting the views, it's usually a topic issue. You're not picking topics that people are interested in. That's why you're not pulling them in. If it's watch time that's really low, then what it is you're not doing something at the beginning of the video to help people identify this is for me. I want this. This is of interest to me. She's talking directly to me. So usually those are the areas that break down before you even get to comments, right? And it goes back to the metrics that we just talked about. If you're not getting views, it's probably a topic thing. If you're not getting watch times long enough, it's probably how you're starting the video. I'll give you an example. So many people, the mistake they make is they arrive on camera. And what do I mean by that? Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? I just want to pop in and maybe talk a little bit. They're already scrolling by. Video, it's like, you've got to grab me in the first 3 seconds or I'm just going to move on to the next thing. It's not like a sit and listen kind of thing. They're not committed audience members. When they're on their phone and they're scrolling, they have unlimited content a swipe away. So if you're not doing something in the very beginning, like literally the first words out of your mouth, literally what is being seen on screen, then they're not watching long enough to get to how great your questions are. So what you really want to look at is not just where is the pain point, fix that, but really diagnosing all of the different metrics and figuring out where is the first point where I'm having a gap and I need to fix that. And I have a video, if anybody wants it, that helps you kind of pinpoint and figure out, self-diagnose, where are the opportunities and where do I start implementing fixes so that I get more out of my videos.
Oh, great. Yeah. I'd love to share that with them. Thank you. Perfect.
You're welcome.
So here's what I'm thinking of here is if I have this thing that I want to talk about, of course, I'm always going to be like, hey, at first, but I have to stop that. I understand that now. So if I go in and I write myself a little script, and how do I not just read like a robot off of the script? How do I do this?
You know, and what's crazy, Kim, is that what I see most often is people are like, I'm stuck. If I write a script, I sound robotic, like I'm reading to them. If I just go off the cuff and just wing it, I'm on tangents all over the place and I can't keep my thoughts straight, right? And so we stop and we think, which is the better of the two evils? And so most people opt for the script, right? It's probably the worst thing you can do because nobody wants to be read to, especially adults, right? So what I say is there's actually a third option, and that is bullet points. So rather than planning your video with a detailed point by point, word by word script, actually create I use Post-it notes, but you're just trying to be like, what is the flow of ideas? I want to talk about this, and then I want to talk about this, and then I want to talk about this. The problem that I find is that most women are worried about being perfect. And that is why we lean towards the script, because in your posts, in your emails, even in your podcast to some extent, right? Having a script allows me to get the words out exactly and precisely as I want. What you got to realize is that video is not about perfection. Video is about having people feel something, connected, feel like you see them and understand them, having an aha moment. And that doesn't come from perfectly written script. So it's one of those moments where you can have the best perfectly written script and nobody listens, or you can speak from the heart and you can trust that you know your stuff and you can believe that you're going to put all the right emotions in what you're saying. And even if the words are not perfect, it's going to resonate so much stronger for your ideal client. That's what you're going for, right? So it's not about getting the words right. It's about speaking from the heart. And when you can do that and you can let go of, I have to say this as perfectly as ChatGPT wrote it for me, you're going to be so much better off. So I will say this, though. I have one little caveat, and that is if your process is that in order to get your ideas out, you have to script it out, do that. Don't change your planning process, right? But then take that script and turn it into bullet points so that you're not tied to the exact words. You are just using it as an outline that is helping you guide through your video. Yeah. Now, I know what's coming next is, would a teleprompter help? What about teleprompters? Is that a good thing or a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
I think of it like teleprompter, like training wheels, right? If hearing me talk about don't use a script and use bullet points terrifies you to the point where you won't do it, then the teleprompter is a great training wheel starting point. The problem that I see with most people who are using teleprompters is they're right back in that I am reading exactly what it says on the script. And they're not speaking from the heart, and it just doesn't translate in the same way, right? So if you are going to use a teleprompter, make sure that you're using a teleprompter that allows you to just put bullet points in so that you have the same effect without the scripting. One last thing that I'll touch on the teleprompter is that, and I know we're probably going to talk about this at some point because you and I talked about it in the green room, and that's eye contact, right? So when you are trying to make eye contact on your videos, which is what you want to do, if you are looking at your script, you are not making good eye contact. And so it's very hard to read a teleprompter, be looking at the teleprompter and looking at the camera at the same time. There's just enough gap in where the teleprompter text is from where the camera lens is that it throws you off. However, there is hope There's positive things coming with AI because there's all sorts of new technology where they're course correcting eye contact. It's a little weird and wonky right now, but it's just going to get better and better. So, the jury's still out. We'll see what happens with teleprompters in the future. I'm not saying they're bad, but it's like, be careful what you're using it for and how you're using it.
Yeah. And those eye contact things, I know it's in my editing software, it allows it. But when you wear glasses, it makes you look real weird.
I had a call this morning. We were talking about glare on glasses, and it's like one of those things that you fight and you fight and you fight, but you can only do the best that you can do, right? And what I would say to anybody listening is, video is such a powerful tool for getting visible. Don't let any of this stop you from doing it, right? Think of it like anything that you're doing to get started is at least you're getting started. And then it just becomes about, how do I get better at this? How do I make this easier? How do I, ditch the script and start talking from the heart? Those are all things you can learn. But if the script or the teleprompter helps you get started, I say go for it.
Yeah. I always find with the teleprompter too, I've totally gotten rid of it. I do my podcast episodes as bullet points as well. Yeah. And I just find that with the teleprompter, I spend too much time saying, go faster, go slower, go faster, go slower. I just have a cadence to my speech. Yes. Being here from Boston, apparently I talk too fast, but then it goes too fast. I'm like, wait, I didn't get that out yet. Slow down.
They are tricky. That is for sure. They're not the easiest to use. And sometimes we think about, anchors on the news channels that we watch, and they just make it look so effortless. And you got to realize they went to school for years and years and years. They've studied underneath somebody else. They have so much practice using a teleprompter, and they've got, big cameras, and the teleprompter is right where they need to be looking. It's apples and oranges to what we're trying to do. So you can't compare it. Right. But yeah, I had to do a video. Somebody was paying me to do a video for them, and I had to say the words exactly like they wanted. And it was so hard for me to do that after doing it without, that I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. It's just not me. It's not my energy. But, everybody's got to decide what works for them and what doesn't.
Yeah. When I had my TV show, they always said, let's do the intro after the episode. Of course, they do the intro after, which is typical. Even in podcasting, I still do my intro after the episode. And what I found was that my first take was always the take they took. Yeah. I always got it right the first time, but then if I had to retake it, I'd be like, I don't know. What did I say that was great? He'd be like, I don't know. Say that again. I'd be like, I don't remember what it was.
Yep. So true. Yeah. That's why when I'm doing something like Reels, I limit myself to 3 takes. 3 takes and that's it. And I have to choose the best of the 3, because if you're just continuing to shoot for perfection, you'll be doing 27 takes, 37 takes, and nobody has time for that. So yeah, limit yourself.
Speaking of Reels, what do you prefer now? Reels, lives, long recordings? What's your preference right now?
Yes, to all. It's a mix. Right. Yeah. And so what you have to realize is each of those different things that you just listed off has a different function inside of your video strategy. And you need all of them for it to be the most effective. So at its core, think Reels are about attracting a new audience. There's a little bit of nurturing you can do in a reel, but for the most part, Reels are so short that it's not as in depth as what you get when you do a live. Lives are typically scheduled. People show up and they sit there for longer periods of time. That is more about nurturing an audience you already have versus attracting a brand new audience. So it's like, use the right thing to drive the traffic you're trying to attract into your business. Reels do one thing, lives do another, pre-recorded videos do another, workshops do something completely different. And it's about having all of them working together that makes the wheels go round.
Mm-hmm. I read your newsletter. You have a newsletter. So if you haven't subscribed, I'll put that down in the show notes too. But I read your newsletter, and I think you wrote something more recently about making sure that you do your lives and your reels first before your workshops. Is that correct? Was that just a recent video or a reel or a newsletter I saw?
Yeah. I think a lot of people, the idea of doing a workshop, and it's whatever you call it, a workshop, a challenge, a masterclass, they're all essentially the same thing, where you're gathering a group of people, a larger group of people, and you're in a group format, taking them through something. And ultimately your goal is to convert them into becoming clients or whatever else it is versus, one-on-one kind of. It's truly one-to-many kind of situation. And we think of that and we think, oh my gosh, it'd be so much fun. And I just want to gather people and I want to help them. And we have all our best intentions. But what we have to realize is that if you are not converting out of your Reels and Facebook Lives, you're not going to convert out of your workshops. It's like, get your messaging right first, understand the dynamics in a smaller format. That doesn't mean that your lives can't be an hour long or 45 minutes long or half an hour long, but practice there first. Get an understanding of your flow, of the skills sets that it takes to be able to convert out of that before you put in the time, energy, and effort of a workshop, because there's more to it. You've got to promote it. You've got to conduct it a little bit differently. You've got different expectations that people have in a workshop than just a Facebook Live. So it's the whole thing of like, walk before you run. Start with the small things. One of the things I talked about inside of my membership just the other day is, if you're not converting out of these other things, if you can't do a Facebook Live and convert, and what do I mean by convert? I'm talking about getting somebody to book a call with you. It doesn't have to be a sale, but getting them to move forward with you in the process, not just a comment, not just a follow, but actually, something from a sales perspective. If you can't do a live and get somebody to take that action, that needs to be fixed first. Get good at that and then move into a workshop. Because the skills are all relatively the same. They're like building blocks. One thing builds on the next. So if you skip ahead because you're in a hurry and you think it would be more fun, what happens is you spend all that time, energy, and effort, and then it doesn't convert at that point either. And then you're frustrated. And when you get frustrated, that's when you go, that's it. I'm shutting down my business and I'm going to go work at Starbucks or wherever you decide seems way more fun than being an entrepreneur, right? And I don't want you to be frustrated. So convert out of the smaller pieces first, then work your way up to the bigger stuff.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. I want to just go back a little bit. You mentioned that 1 second equals a view on every platform or a specific platform, Facebook,
for
Instagram,
the most part.
YouTube. Yeah.
You can probably Google it and you're probably going to have some variances. Like, on one platform, it might be 3 seconds. On another platform, it's 1 second. I know recently TikTok is 1 second and then Facebook or Meta followed suit and then they became 1 second. The point is, it's really, really short. And so one of the things that I have people do, especially when I'm teaching Reels, is I say, let's go look at some watch times. And it's a little like, it hurts. It'll break your heart. You go in there and you haven't ever looked at that data, because in our feed and in our profile, what we see is views. And we think, oh my gosh, I got 500 views. Look at me go, right? And then you go into the watch time and you're like, my reel was 2 minutes and the average watch time was 7 seconds. And it's like a knife in your back, right? And you're like, oh no, what happened? So yeah, it's staggering. And if you focus too much on it, it's like anything else. You'll scare yourself out of it. I'll give you an example. I'm terrified of sharks. You probably know this about me. Like, it's an irrational fear of sharks. I don't fly overseas because I'm worried about the sharks in the ocean, right? Well, if I am that worried about the sharks in the ocean and I'm never going to put my feet in the ocean, I'm missing out, like big time, right? And so the same is true with this, right? Like, if you are focusing so much on those metrics that you're not doing it, how are you going to get better? So I look at measures and data as just an indicator, and it helps us say, how do I get better? So instead of saying, what's the right watch time? What's the average watch time? What you need to be doing, instead of saying, okay, when I started, my average watch time was 7 seconds. And now I've got it up to 27 seconds. That's progress. So it's like, celebrate against yourself. Celebrate your own progress. Don't use it to like, should I be doing this or not? Don't use it as a judgment. Use it as an indicator of what you need to do different.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like we were talking about this earlier about how many downloads you should get per episode. You know, like if you have 35 episodes, you should probably at 30 days have 35 downloads. And the idea that that's 35 people, some people are like, who cares? It's 7 seconds or 27. Who cares?
So small.
But if you had 35 people in the room with you at one time, you would be like, wow, this is amazing. And if those people were watching your content for 27 seconds, that really means if you've gotten your hook out right away, right?
Yeah.
You're really getting them interested, and they didn't scroll right away. They weren't like, oh, no, no,
Yeah.
no.
Well, and you have to think
won.
of it like
you still won.
You still won. You're not going to have a situation where you've got high views. You're not going to have 12,000 views on a reel and low watch time. It's never going to happen, right? What's usually happening is you have low views and low watch time. But what you're trying to do, and this is sometimes counterintuitive, especially for people who have already been doing lives. When you switch from lives to reels, it's really hard to go shorter, smaller, right? Especially those of you that like to talk, you know who you are, right? But what you're wanting to do is make sure that you have reels that are super short, 7 seconds long, 10 seconds long.
Okay.
Because what the algorithm is looking at is how much of your content is being consumed. So what you want is, I want to put out a 10-second reel that people watch for 7 seconds. That means they watched 70% of that reel versus I did a 3-minute reel and people only watched for 7 seconds. I don't even know what percent that is, but it's low, right? And so all the algorithm is doing is looking at numbers and data. And so any algorithm on any platform is trying to serve up quality content. That's its whole goal, right? What are we interested in? What do I as a user want to see in my feed? And they all want to be putting good things in our feed because that keeps them on the platform. So watch time matters in indicating that it's good content, because if it's good content, people watch longer. Bad content, they don't watch as long, right? So one of the biggest things I tell people who have low watch times or low views is start creating reels that are smaller so that you slowly increase that watch time. It's going to help your overall performance on that platform.
And how do you rein that in? How do you talk to somebody and say, I'd like you to create a 10-second reel? What do you say in 10 seconds?
You sound like everybody else who's in my Reels program right now. They're all like, this is impossible. You've got to think about the reel differently. And it's like apples and oranges, right? When I first started doing Reels, I made the same assumption that I think you're making right now, Kim. And that is, how do I take what I do in a Facebook Live and just condense it down to 7 seconds or 10 seconds or even 30 seconds? I got to talk faster. I got to get straight to the point. But what you have to do is you have to realize it's apples and oranges. They're not the same thing. You're in a Facebook Live, and it doesn't just have to be Facebook, Instagram Live, TikTok Live, all of them. They're longer generally. You are nurturing people who already follow you. They're ready to sit and listen and just soak in all of that knowledge, right? On a reel, your target is attracting new people. They don't know you from anybody else. They're making a judgment in a matter of seconds, whether I want to listen to you or don't want to listen to you. It's not about you, it's about them. So what you're putting in the reel is very different than what you put in a Facebook Live. Apples and oranges. That's what I want you to get from this. Two different things.
This has actually given me some ideas here, because a lot of my listeners have podcasts, probably 98% of them.
I was going to say all of them.
There might be one or two. Hi, Mom.
Or at least they want a podcast, right? Maybe they don't have one yet. They aspire to have one. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But so here, we have talked before about creating reels out of these interviews, say. But, normally I'm like, you can go up to 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds. But I wonder now if even in an interview like this should be really condensed down to 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Just to get that, even if you did 10 of them, 10 seconds long, and threw them out to the world, to the universe, and see what happens.
I think what you're looking for is, what are you trying to do? Right. So if your goal is, I want to get more listeners to follow me and get over to my podcast, shorter's better. And so what you're wanting to do in a reel is just get somebody's attention. And what gets people's attention is the fact that you understand where they're at, and what you have helps them in some way. You're not trying to educate them. That's what the podcast does. You're just trying to attract them and be like, ooh, it's like, I can't think of who it is who always talks about you trying to get people to lean in. I can't remember who it is that talks about leaning in.
Oh
Do you know
yeah,
who it
I
is?
do. Yeah, I can't think of who it
It
is,
sounds
but I do know
familiar,
who you're
right?
talking about.
It's like, I
Yep.
know I've
Yep.
heard it. I just can't think of
Yeah.
who the person is. What you're trying to create is that moment where somebody goes, "Oh, I need that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I'd like to know more from her." You want them leaning in and wanting more. And then more happens in the other places. So more happens in your Facebook Live, more happens in your podcast, more happens on your YouTube channel. The reel is just like you're dangling something in front of people to be like, "Oh, I want that." So
Mm.
what I would tell you to do, especially because what you're trying to do with your podcast is you're trying to get new listeners and you're trying to get people who are already following you to really want it. Do both. So as you're creating reels, you're going to want some short ones and then maybe a long one. Like, it's like, what's the right mix between short and long reels? But your intention is different in each of them.
Okay. Yep.
Shorter
I can see
reels, it's
that.
just about attraction. Longer reels, it's a little bit more of a nugget that leads to wanting more.
Mhm.
Make
That
sense?
I'm fascinated. I didn't know
I
that
know,
at
right?
all.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I'm just going to go and make all my reels 10 seconds long. I'm just going to go back and be like, I only need 10-second reels because I'm holding on to them for 7 seconds at least.
And it's like anything else, right? You don't want, even when you think about what are you posting on social media, right? We all know I need to mix it up. I need to have some photos. I need to have some polls. I need to have some color blocks. I need to have some video. Like, you need to have a little bit of everything. It's the same way with reels. You want to have a little bit of everything. You want to do different things in your reels. You want to mix it up just as much as anything else. So variety,
Yeah.
what do they say? Variety is the spice of life.
The
It applies to
spice.
reels as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
The life is spice or whatever. My
Yeah,
husband's a
whatever
big
it is.
Dune fan, so
I love Dune. Such a good show. Such a good movie.
but the life is spice, or I don't know. He keeps saying that.
Whatever it was.
Yeah. We're not good at all those analogies.
No,
today.
I joke to my audience all the time about how I love cliches and, like, but I butcher them. But that's what makes me unique and different, right?
Yeah.
Which
absolutely.
cliche is Jamie going to butcher today? Tune in and find out.
Speaking of tuning in, where can people find you? Where can they find anything and everything about you?
Yeah, mostly Facebook is probably my primary. I'm very active on my profile. I have a Facebook group called Get Visible, which is perfect timing perfectly connected to what we're talking about today. It's all about visibility. I'm also pretty active on TikTok, or at least starting to be more and more active on TikTok. And I dabble on Instagram. I'm starting to change that and do a little bit more there. But any of those three places, I'm sure you'll have links in call notes or wherever people can find the different links, right?
Yeah, of course.
And then, watch for regular workshops. I usually try to do a workshop at least every other month as an opportunity to come in and learn and spend more time with me.
I love your workshops. I think that's originally how I found you a couple years
Probably
ago.
so. Yeah.
And was a part of your program a couple years ago as well, and been still following you and joining your networking. You do some amazing networking opportunities too. So
yes,
if you are not in Jamie's Facebook group, you need to, because she's got some amazing things going in. Yeah.
I pride myself on it being a group that people actually want to hang out in. It's very active. People are showing up and meeting and connecting, and that's what it's all about. I don't want it to just be a how do I get visible space. I want it to be a space where people can be visible themselves and meet and connect new people. So networking and community and all of that is just kind of a pet project of mine. I just love it more than well, I shouldn't say more than video. It's second to video, but I love it anyway. But I feel like, in order for any of us, there's only so many ways that you can get leads into your business. We often think the first thing we think is social media. What am I posting on social media? If you're only doing social media, it's like you have a one-legged stool. It's not going to be very sturdy, right? And so what else do you have to do? You've got to do some networking. You've got to be visible in other ways. You've got to, use these platforms to connect and meet new people. And when you can do all of those things, now you've got a sturdier base. And so I want to try and create that opportunity inside my Facebook group so that you learn not only about videos and reels and workshops and all of that, but like, how do I build my business around, creating an audience and getting followers and getting people to comment. It's all of those things.
Yeah, you have a great Facebook group. I've actually, since you started the carousels, I think I have actually met with 3
See?
ladies
Yeah.
just connecting through the carousels only, just to say, hey, yes, I'm raising my hand to talk to you and say hi. And,
Yeah.
15-minute conversation just to find out who people are. You never know.
Yeah.
I love
And I think
networking.
the best advice that I can give to anybody is stop worrying about the outcome. I think we get so caught up in, am I going to get a sale? How am I going to get a customer? That we become this icky, salesy version of ourselves that nobody wants to be with. And so if you instead just be a human being and like take interest in people and ask questions, what do you do? And get on a coffee chat for 10 or 15 minutes, you never know where those are going to lead. And they always lead somewhere. They lead to collaborations or referrals, or maybe you do become clients. Maybe you just become friends. Maybe you become business besties. But that's what makes business, especially as an entrepreneur, we're often so alone because we're a one-man shop. And even if you have a team, or even if you have a VA, or even if you have whatever you have supporting you, they're not usually in your space. And so we feel alone, and it's a lot of pressure for any of us to take on. And so you have to say, who am I surrounding myself with? Who's in the room with me, even if it's a virtual room? And you're going to be surprised at how much choosing the right people to be around raises you up. You're going to raise up to the level that they're at. So it's like, pick the people you want to spend time with. Go do coffee chats with people that are ahead of you in business. Do coffee chats with people who are newbies that you can give some tips to and pay that forward. That's what makes networking and connecting actually become something that's effective in growing your business. The more conversations you have, I think it's Jasmine Star that says, social media is the start of a conversation. What you have to realize is all of this is the start. It's what you do after that matters.
I love that. And I feel the one that I did last week, she actually wrote me this morning and sent me a little chicken video. So she now remembers me, so that's the important part, right?
I think I have sent you chicken videos, chicken reels before. And every time I see a chicken reel, I think, oh, Kim.
Yeah. Right.
So, but it's, we all have a brand, whether we think we do or we don't. We all have a brand, right? Earlier, I joked about how I, butcher cliches. That's part of my brand. You got to embrace it and not hide from it. It's not about being perfect. It's about being who you are. The more you do that, the more your business grows.
I love that. That's wise words from you today. I love it.
Yes. We could have named this Wise Words with Jamie Hayen.
Maybe you should start your own YouTube channel, Wise Words with Jamie Hayen.
Wise Words from Jamie Hayen.
and publish that once a week and get people on board.
We might be onto something. You might be onto something. Somebody said something the other day about an idea for a podcast. I get them all the time. You should do a podcast on that. You should do a podcast on that. So I got all kinds of ideas.
Yeah.
I just need to do it.
But you're doing lives and you're doing workshops and you're doing, and you know what? You can't do everything. Like I don't do a lot of lives. I should do more. I'm going to try in February to do more. And I don't do a ton of workshops. I have a ton of ideas in my head, but then I make them into podcast episodes because that's what I do.
That's what you do. That's right. Yes.
So stick with your zone of genius there.
You got to find your own. And I think even when I'm doing this program on Reels right now, as we're recording this. And we had a call this morning and everybody was sharing kind of where they were at. We were halfway through. So like wins and challenges. And it was really interesting because one person would say, I loved that one, but I didn't like this one. And somebody else would say, oh, I feel exactly the opposite. I love this one. I hated that one. And it was just the perfect setup to say, here's the coolest thing about being an entrepreneur. You can do whatever you want, right? Yeah. If you want to do reels, do reels. If you want to do lives, do lives. You want to do podcasts, do podcasts. You've got to find what works for you, because when it works for you and it feels good to you, that's going to translate. That energy goes out into the world through whatever that medium is. And you don't have to do what somebody else tells you. You have to do what feels right for you.
Yeah. And that could be video. That could be real.
It could be.
Yeah. So tell people how they can get a hold of you if they're feeling video is my thing.
Even if you're feeling like, I just don't know about this video thing, right? So what I would say is if you're listening to this podcast and you want to book a video strategy call with me, that's probably the best place to start. It's super casual. We're going to just talk for 20, 30 minutes about where you're at with video, what's working, what's not. And if you're not started, we're going to talk about why have you not started and what the gap is. And ultimately what you're going to walk away with is some clarity around what what's missing? What should you be doing? How do you get started? And I'll point you in the right direction. So I've got lots of different options depending on where you are at. I've got a video series for how to get started if you've never done video. I've got a video series if you're doing video and you're like, what's wrong? Why am I not getting traction? And so we'll start with a quick conversation and then I'll guide you into what makes most sense for you. And then in terms of like working with me, one of the best places to work with me is inside my membership, which is what you were part of, Kim. I've recently made some changes to the membership. It is now Learn with Me live every week. So it's not portal driven, even though it is a low cost membership option. Every week, you're going to learn something new, and step by step, we're going to create videos. Step by step, we're going to create reels. Step by step, we're going to build out your workshop. And it's just piece by piece, block by block. And it's every Thursday at 11 Central. So if that's something you're interested in, like I said, book a strategy call. We'll talk about it. Either way, you're going to get some great tips that'll help you with video going forward.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah,
Any other words of wisdom as we close up today?
Words of wisdom. I'm going to go back to what you said when we were in the green room. And you said, it was drilled into me over and over and over again. And I feel like this is an important one, right? This is an important little nugget. So everybody get your notebook out, get ready to take notes on this one, right? One of the best things you can do for video is make eye contact. And the problem that we all have is that it has been drilled into us since we were little kids to look people in the eyes when you talk to them. And so what happens when you do video is there's a face. You see your own face. And so your brain overrides what you are being told by me right now to do, which is look at the camera lens, not at the face on camera. But there's this thing that happens where you're like, no, I got to look at them in the eye. The only person I see is myself. And so what happens is we make weird eye contact. And now that I'm telling you this, I'm going to ruin videos for you forever because you can't unsee it once you see it, right? But what you have to do is get comfortable looking at the camera lens, not at yourself on screen. And it will absolutely transform the way people respond to your video. So that is the best free tip that I can give your listeners today. Eye contact with the camera lens.
Yes. It was one of my questions, but our conversation kind of steered in a different direction. So I'm glad you brought it back. I'm glad you brought it back. Thank you. Thank you. It's perfect.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being on today, Jamie. I have really loved this conversation, and I'm going to put all of your links in the show notes there. And I hope everybody joins your Facebook group because it really is one of the best ones around. I love going there. I go there once a week. Plus, you send out a newsletter reminder to remind me to go there once a week.
That's right. Yes. Come join the group and get visible. If you want to get visible in your business, if you want to grow your business, it's all about visibility. So come and learn, come and join, get visible right with me. And thank you, Kim. Thank you for letting me be on your podcast. This was so special. I loved it. Enjoyed the conversation. And I appreciate you so much.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. I appreciate you as well. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Podcasting for Spiritual Women. If you would like more strategy and tips and some tricks on how to make your podcast better, I recommend that you join my newsletter list. You can find that at kpcreativemedia.com/newsletter. Until next time.